Know your role. I find that to be a funny expression and offensive. Yeah, I think a lot of people would find that offensive. I don't know why I thought about it this morning, but every time I hear that expression, I think about the first time someone said that to me, which was in grade 9, I think it would have been. There's this kid I went to elementary school and then high school with, Justin Powell. I sat behind him in communications class, and I had my feet up on his stool. And when he came in, and I don't know why I did. It was probably my version of flirting with him because I didn't know what the hell I was doing at 14 years old. And when he came in, he grabbed my feet and he tossed them off and he goes, "Know your role." And I just started laughing. I was like shocked and never heard that expression before, and didn't fully understand it at that time, I think. But he laughed too. It was more of a humorous slander, I guess. Yeah, I don't know why I thought about that this morning. But every time I hear that expression, I think of Justin Powell. Who, by the way, I dated for it was a day or a week or some really short time in grade 8. We went on a field trip. It was the one and only time I ever went skiing. First of all, skiing was hard. I do the training, which was like going down little bunny hills, and then one time I was getting the hang of it, and then we didn't hang out all day. And I was coming down the hill one time, and for some reason they had these 2 lanes meet into one. Corey Myron, it was him. He's a year younger than me. So I was coming down, he was coming down as well, and I would have hit him. So I veered to the left, which was a bunch of trees. And sure enough, I went up over this little fucking ridge, landed face first in the snow, blacked out, it felt like, for a while. But when I looked up, I saw him going by, so I knew I hadn't been out that long, but that was fucking terrifying. I could have hit a tree, I could have went off the cliff. It was fucking scary. So I took it really easy after that day. But anyway, on the way home on that field trip, we took a coach bus, ooh la la, and I was sitting beside Justin, and I think we were holding hands. That's as far as we got. I don't think we ever kissed or anything like that. Someone was handing out these suckers, and I'm like, "Oh, can I have one?" So they give me one that was on the floor of the coach bus. Nice. But they didn't tell me it was on the floor. My own boyfriend didn't tell me. So I'm sucking off this sucker, and these guys are laughing at me. I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's cool." And then he broke up with me later. Yeah. And then, yeah, fast forward a year later, I'm trying to flirt with him by putting my feet on his stool. God. People might ask me, "Katie, why do you put up with such bullshit?" Because I was young and stupid. But that's what life is, right? Learning from your mistakes. Being young and stupid, so you have something to learn from. What you should put up with and what you shouldn't put up with, etc., etc. So yeah, no, I definitely learned to speak up for myself since then. That was, oh God, so if I was 14, that was 19 years ago. It's fucking hard to say. Makes you want to choke. Right now I work at Home Hardware on the weekends, so I could be home with my babies during the week. I kind of accidentally called all my coworkers assholes. Oops. My grandparents always had it in their house, where it's that plastic vinyl with the spikes underneath, and you put it down in the wintertime so snow and muck doesn't go through your whole house. Well, one of those was completely unrolled on the floor, and I didn't notice until 10 minutes before we had to close. So I went and grabbed the stool, because I'm a short ass, and I had to get up there to fix it. And this woman I worked with, she comes up, she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, well, this is on the floor, so I'm cleaning it up." She goes, "Well, don't do that. I don't want to clean up after so-and-so, this other lady I work with." And I'm like, "Well, it needs to be done, so I'm doing it." And I wasn't snarky, I just said it for what it was. She huffs off, she walks away. I didn't see her for the rest of the day. She fucking took off. I'm like, okay. So I go up front, and because at the end, we all kind of congregate at the front before we leave, make sure everyone's good. I tell one of the owner's sons, there's 3 of them, said I picked up all the vinyl off the floor back there. He goes, oh yeah, she told me about that. She said she didn't want to clean up after so-and-so, which I was glad she said that herself. I didn't want to be the one narking on her. I wasn't gonna be a little tattletale, just saying it's clean now. And I just kind of laughed, like, couldn't believe that she had that attitude. And I'm like, you know what? And I've seen this many times, people just leaving messes around that store. I'm like, when there's a mess on the floor like that, it makes us all look like a bunch of lazy assholes. And then they all start laughing. And maybe they thought I was joking, but I was kind of being serious. Like, it does. I hate going to a store and it being messy and grody. Like, I just want to get the fuck out of there. And I think if someone's just, who clearly works there, you were in the shirt, and they're just standing around, not cleaning it up, that's just pitiful. Her attitude about that was pitiful. Petty, I should say. It doesn't matter what you do. You could fucking flip burgers. You could work in a call center taking calls. You could be fucking working at Home Hardware on the weekends or some shitty retail store that's not your dream, but that's where you are. And it doesn't matter what job it is. That job's a reflection of you. And if you think, oh, this job's shit, I deserve a promotion, I want to be doing this job instead. Well, if you can't do a good job, if you can't do good work on this level of job, what makes you think your boss will ever give you a promotion to this level of a job? The proof is in the pudding, as Mr. Cosby would say. Oh my god, that's dark, but I wonder if he said that about his victims, like, she said she wouldn't suck me off, but the proof is in the pudding. I'll just give her this pudding and then slide it in her. Oh, that's fucked up. I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry. I make fucked up jokes like that all the time. That's what this is about. Freedom of speech is big for me, and people are trying to take it away. And I don't mean like, a specific group of people. I just mean people in general who are just so offended by everything. You can't say this, you can't say that. Well, no, if you start just shutting people down, then that closes the discourse for like communication and getting those differences out in the open to find an agreement. Like a couple videos back, I don't know what I was saying, but I used the term retarded faggot. And I was thinking about it, I'm like, oh shit, like, probably shouldn't have said that. Should I go back and take that video down and redo it, or just edit that part out and then repost the rest? But no, it goes against my personal beliefs of free speech. We should be able to say whatever the fuck we want, even if it is completely offensive and off the wall and inappropriate. Plus, I don't like that society is trying to tell me what I can and cannot say. That just makes me want to say those bad words even more. And just so you know, when I use the word retarded, I'm not talking about someone who is actually mentally handicapped. That's so fucked up to say. I remember in grade 8 again, here we go, flashback time. It was recess time, and it was winter, and we got into a snowball fight. It was me, a couple girls, and the boys. I've always been fucking boy crazy, so whatever they were doing, I gravitated towards. Anyway, they just seem to be having more fun. They're not getting in snickery, bickery fights with one another. So we were having a snowball fight, and we got in shit from the teachers, because you're not supposed to do that in school. And our punishment, I always thought this was a ridiculous punishment. Our punishment was to spend the next week of our lunch break helping out in the special needs classroom. And I ended up working really closely with this sweet little boy. I think his name was Michael. And he had Down syndrome. And he had glasses, and he was just so sweet to me and so precious, and he just like wore his heart on his shoulders, full of love. And I was thinking, like, how is this a punishment? Like, this is so much fun. But it was like to show that our actions influence the younger kids, and these are I don't know, I guess just, they didn't even fully fucking explain that. I get just that part. We influence the younger kids So we have to go in this classroom. And some of the people complained, but I'm like, this is fun. Like, I'm having a blast here. So you didn't have to go outside in the cold winter and you could sit in here and play with these cool kids? All right. So yeah, just for the record, I have no hatred or malice towards anyone who has any type of mental disability. I'll talk with them one-on-one like they're a person. I won't talk down to them in a demeaning way. I'll talk down in a demeaning way to someone who thinks a fucking idiot if they're deserving of it. And you know what, even then, maybe no one's deserving of it, but anyway. So there's that. And for the faggot part, I don't ever mean someone who's homosexual. I mean someone who's acting like a fucking faggot, like who has their head up their ass, who's doing something so stupid that the word retarded isn't enough. And maybe that's just from the generation I come from and the era I grew up in the 90s. Maybe I've become an old person where, like, you know, your grandparents, they say terrible racist words just so casually, and you're like, Papa, you're not supposed to say that. I won't even give that example of what my papa used to say, because I don't want that to be fucking pinned on me. But maybe I'm turning into that type of old person where I don't want to change my ways. You know this expression, you can't teach an old dog new tricks? Maybe I'm becoming that old dog, that old bitch, that old retarded faggot bitch. Stop saying it for now. Dun dun dun. The point is, free speech. Let's not hold each other back. If you don't agree with someone, don't just shut them off and be like, I don't want to hear anything you have to say. No, let them speak and talk it out. If you let them speak and they let you speak, maybe you could find some common grounds. Be like, well, I don't agree with you about that point because of this, and this is what I think about it. And then be like, oh, you know what, that does make sense. Maybe that's the only way you can learn and grow and open your mind further, by fucking exploring other points of view and trains of thought. I always kind of followed two rules. Treat others the way you want to be treated, which I instill in my kids and the kids I babysit. I say that to them all the fucking time. But also put yourself in their shoes. Like, how do you think it would feel to that person? Or like, how would you feel if you were that person in that situation, whatever it is? The problem with that is not everyone thinks that way. And so if you are super forgiving and kind of bend over backwards and you're more lenient and understanding with people, not everyone sees that point of view and they take advantage of that because they think you're nice and a fucking walking mat or a punching bag, and not physically, literally, of course, I mean like emotionally, they take advantage of you. So yeah, it's a life lesson there too, fuck. Me and the hubby watched Bryan Callen's newest stand-up called Complicated Apes, I think it was. And we rented it online, which was cool. I haven't done that very often, but we thought, you know what? We really like him. We wanted to support him. It was like $7. Totally worth it. And he talked about that too, about how, you know, fucking the left and the right, they're so like, what's the word I'm looking for? So conflicting and so contrasting to one another that nobody wants to let the other one speak. And he's like, we should just let those fucking thoughts like make love and fuck, and then that's how you get new thoughts are born out of it. He was so funny. I was laughing hard a lot of that stand-up. The last stand-up we went to in person was Joe Rogan at Massey Hall in Toronto. And that was a few years back, and I remember, I think I was annoying the chick in front of me because of how hard and often I was laughing. Because I'm a loud laugher, but you know what? I fucking don't hold back when you're laughing. If something's funny, freaking laugh about it. That's what they're there for. They want to hear laughter. At a concert, stand up and dance. Don't sit in your seat. You paid to fucking see this band. And that's what they want. They want to see people dancing and enjoying themselves. That's the point of it. There's people who like have been sitting and then get pissed off if someone is in front of them and standing. Like, fuck off, that's what it's for. On a roller coaster, fucking scream like you're gonna die, because that's the feeling that they're trying to give you. And that's the thrill and the fun and the enjoyment out of it. The last roller coaster I went on, well, maybe not the last one, but the last one I remember doing that on was the Leviathan at Canada's Wonderland. That went so fucking fast, and I went on it by myself. I was sitting, it was like a 4-seater. It was me and like 3 younger kids, and I was just loving it, put my arms up, and away you go. That's what it's about. I went to this one concert in Hamilton, and that was going back a few years now. But I didn't hold back there either. I was dancing as if I was alone in my bedroom, because that's what I'm there for. I'm there to unleash, let go of your inhibitions, which is something my drama teacher, Miss McIsaac, taught me. Miss Wendy McIsaac, mwah, I love you. You're so pure of light. You taught me so much. That's one thing that always stuck with me. Let go of your inhibitions. And this girl came up to me after, and was like, she was friends of a friend. She's like, you were rocking out. Like, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't do that. I'm like, well, yeah, that's what we're here for. Like, don't hold back thinking you look stupid just because some stranger next to you is looking at you. They're looking at you because you're enjoying yourself. And that's happiness is contagious to other people. It's when you're giving off light, it draws attention. And I'm not saying I do it to draw. I'm not an attention hound. I just want to fully enjoy myself without holding back. And I think once you can learn to do that, oh my God, life is so much more fun. What do the kids say these days? You only live once. YOLO. So stupid. Such a silly, stupid saying. But it's true. You do only live once. And as far as we know, nobody can actually prove otherwise yet. But even if it's not true, why live this whole life that you're in now, selling yourself short, holding back those joyous moments, you're thinking, oh, next life I'll fully enjoy myself. No, if you can do it now, do it now. Because the truth is, you could walk out on the street tomorrow and get hit by a bus. Or you could fucking take your next bite and choke on that piece of food. And the point is, you never know when you're gonna die. So why hold back? Or if you're lucky, you'll die an old lady warm in your bed. Says Jack to Rose on the floating door. Bitch, you could have moved over and shared that door. So weird to think how old that movie is now. Oh man. My hubby and I were making Titanic remarks or references to it. And our oldest son, he's 6 now, he obviously didn't get the jokes because he's never seen that movie. So when he's a bit older, we're going to have to show him. So we like to show him the movies that we enjoy and talk about so that he gets our references and he's inside the joke as well. Or like, the inside joke he's a part of. And it's so weird watching him get older. God. And he asks some crazy questions. We talk to him about everything, man. We tell him we're not gonna beat around the bush. We don't tell him some fucking fairy tale about storks delivering babies, which he's heard of. And he's like, what's the storks breeding babies? So I'm like, well, some parents tell their kids that the baby's delivered by a stork. A stork brings your baby because they don't want to sit down and tell their kids about sex. And we don't get into graphic detail. It's not like we're fucking showing him porn or anything like that. But we also don't want him to have any false preconceptions of what reality is. Like, that's just kind of setting your kid up for failure, because then they're going to have to unlearn that bullshit and then relearn the truth. Just set him on the right path from the beginning. It's not like he has to see my food and be like, oh, this is a pussy. No, I'm not going to fucking do that. And, anyway, so thankfully Sean's around. He's a good dad, and that's why kids need their dads so much, and their moms. But there's going to be questions that little boys are going to ask that just blew me away. Like, okay, Sean, you might want to take this one. And there's specific things that Logan will want to talk to Sean alone about and not let me hear. I mean, to be honest, Sean will tell me after the fact what they've talked about because he wants me to know what's going on in Logan's head as well. But I don't let Logan know that Sean told me because I don't want to break that trust he has with his dad, right? Let him think that everything's confidential. And I tell him that's okay. I understand that there's certain things that you want to just talk to Daddy about. I'm not going to make you feel uncomfortable and talk to him about that. About anything that would make him feel uncomfortable. Because growing up for me, like, as soon as I started asking any type of questions like that, I would just get, the conversation would just get shut down right away. Like, oh, you're too young to know about that. You don't need to know about this. I think that's just parents trying to protect their daughters more so. But again, just keeping your kid in a bubble is not beneficial to them. I know from experience. I had to find out the hard way about a lot of shit. Not necessarily the hard way, but I had to find out on my own. You know what? If my parents had more of an open discourse with me, maybe I wouldn't have let guys walk all over me and treat me like garbage to learn, oh, I'm a little bit more deserving than this bullshit. But I hold no malice towards my parents about that. As far as I'm concerned, they did the best they could. And that's all you can do. That's one thing you have to accept. If you're going to be a parent, you have to know you're going to fuck up. Somewhere along the line, you're going to do something or say something that your kid is going to look back on their childhood and be like, what the fuck was wrong with you? Why did you say this? Or why did you do that? And even if they don't say it to you, they're going to think about it at some point. So all you can do is look at your own childhood, take the good things that you think your parents did good, and apply to your kids. And anything that they did bad, fix it. How would you have wished they handled it? And then handle it that way. It may not be right. It may not be the right thing that your kid needs or wants. But man, trial and error. That's all parenting is, trial and error. And if you can accept that you're human and apologize for when you're wrong, that's a big one too. Not many people apologize to their kids when they're wrong because they think, oh, I'm the adult, I shouldn't have to apologize. Well, no, you're human and you need to show your kid that people make mistakes. To err is human, right? But I had since worked with that lady who got pissed off at me about the vinyl flooring. And she was actually very nice and didn't hold any malice towards me at all. So that was good. I was kind of apprehensive about working with her again, but there was no problems there. And no one else seemed to be hating on me for calling them a bunch of assholes. Oops. Whoopsie. I mean, like I said, I don't think they're assholes directly. I like the team that I work with. It's a good group of people. It's always hard starting a new job. Because honestly, I'd much rather work with a group of people who I like doing a shitty job than working at a job I love working with shitty people. I've been in both situations and I will last much longer working with a good team, than just shitty people. So I went to school for journalism, and right out of the gates, I got a job at a magazine, well, 4 magazines as an assistant editor, which was awesome. I lasted about 3 years there until I was young and stubborn. I talked about this on a past podcast, but I left that job. And if I was in that situation now, I would have definitely dealt with it a different way and probably would have stayed there. But I left there and I went to work for the head office of Green Earth Stores. And that was based in London, Ontario. And the job itself, I loved. I was doing photography for all their products. And I got through the full catalog of what they needed to be updated. And it was for it was web-based photography. So I loved doing the photography aspect of it. But the group of people I worked with were terrible. I clearly knew my boss was fucking this one guy in the office because she's like, just so you know, first of all, she was very cold and not welcoming at all. So I didn't really like her to begin with. But I'm like, oh, I like the job. I'll see how this goes. And she takes me around the office and introduces me to everybody, which, by the way, there was no windows in any offices. So I hated that I didn't have sunlight because I need my vitamin D. So Irish skin doesn't get its beautiful tan from fluorescence. But when she introduced me to this other guy, I'm like, oh, they're fucking. Like, you could just tell the fucking chemistry in there and the electricity that between them. And she had a totally different demeanor talking to him than the rest of the crew. And she mentioned to me, she's like, and, you know, we don't like, you know, inter-office gossip. So if you hear something about somebody, just keep it to yourself, basically. So basically, you're telling me if I hear that you're fucking this guy, not to tell other people about it. I'm like, okay, yeah, no problem. Which wasn't a problem because nobody in that office went out of their way to try to get to know me at all. So, yeah, and she was just such a bitch to me. So after 2 weeks, I gave my 2 weeks notice. So I lasted 1 month there, but I got through their full catalog of photos that needed to be done. So at least I did my job. And where'd I go from there? Oh, I went to a newspaper, the Sarnia newspaper. That was cool. I loved it there. The newspaper office was in this old, like, 70s building. So it totally had that Anchorman feel to it. And this was before Anchorman even came out. And I was there for almost 3 months. They fired me, which was heartbreaking because they said my writing style was too much like a magazine style. Like, they knew I came from a magazine background. Yes, I had a journalism background, which we had a school newspaper in. But, like, they didn't try whatsoever to help me or coach me along the way. So, yeah, anyway, I got fired. And that, getting fired is like getting dumped. It is fucking heartbreaking. You just feel so unworthy and like you're a piece of shit and you're garbage and, oh. And I could tell the one lady, she felt bad for having to fire me, but like she walked me to my car and everything, which I didn't need her to, but, and I fucking cried the whole way home. And then I got a job at a call center. Bounced around from job to job. And the next job I really loved was working at a retirement home. And that was good. And I haven't really done like official writing work and getting like as a career since then. But that's okay. I realized I'm not the type to work for a newspaper anyway. I don't even read the paper myself. So why the fuck would I try to write for one? I wanted to start my own magazine for a while, but it's a lot of startup cost. And to be honest, they say print is dead, and it is. Everything's online now. So I could get a job writing online, but I'd end up writing things for companies that I'm just not passionate for and I don't really care about. So I have to it has to be something that I truly care about and I truly love to do. But right now, making this podcast, I fucking love doing. It is time consuming, but that's okay. You gotta put the work in to reap the rewards, right? And I love being a mom. It is one of the most stressful jobs ever, but it's one of the best jobs ever. They are so sweet. They got 2 little boys and they're awesome. So I have no regrets there. And you know what? I like working in retail. Blah, blah. I like working in retail. I enjoy talking to people and all the customers that come in. They're all different characters. And yeah, you could have some bitchy ones here and there, but most of them are sweet. Sweet old people. I especially love the dirty old men that try to flirt with me. They just make my day. So you know what? Fuck. Not everything is as shiny as it seems on the outside. When you really get into like the meat and bones of the job or the career that you think you want, it's not as great as you think it's going to be. And best thing you can do is to deal with it the best way you know how at that time. Like I said, that whole magazine situation why I left, looking back now, yes, I would deal with it completely different. But I was a different person back then, both physically and mentally. Like physically, my cells have renewed and I am a completely different person than I was then. Like, yes, I kind of look the same, but your body grows. Even if I'm not actually growing taller, cells die off and new ones come in. And if you look at it that way, doesn't that make you a completely different person? I don't know, maybe. But also I've grown mentally as well and emotionally. Like, I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago, certainly not 5 years ago. Hell, I'm not the same person I was yesterday. That's what life is, learning and growing and continuing. So that's why, like, all these people who are getting in shit because of something they posted on Twitter, like, 10 years ago is so ridiculous. That's just people trying to shut them down because they're offended by something that was said once upon a time. And it's just so silly. I think, hopefully, as a society, we'll get out of this little clusterfuck of a mess that we're in right now. Because I think it's all just a little bit ridiculous. It's a little ridic. A little ridic. Yeah. I've seen some little dicks in my time. I've seen some big old schlongs as well. You know what? It's not all about the size. It's the motion in the ocean. On that note, I think I'll end this podcast there. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Click that bell so you don't miss another episode. I truly appreciate it. And treat others the way you want to be treated, kids. Deuces.